In early 2024, an employee at the engineering firm Arup in Hong Kong joined what looked like a normal video conference with the company's CFO and several London colleagues. Every person on that call except the employee was a synthetic face. By the time anyone caught on, $25 million had moved across 15 wire transfers.
Liam here. Last episode, we covered romance scams built on AI-generated profiles and the military persona playbook. Today, we are going deeper into real-time deception, a live video call where the face and voice of the person on screen are both synthetic. The Arup employee walked through a meeting with people they recognized and came away convinced the wire was authorized.
Chin here. The 15-wire structure is a financial controls evasion technique. Transferring $25 million in a single transaction triggers automatic review at most institutions. Spreading that total across 15 smaller wires lowers the chance any individual transfer flags a monitoring system.
Grace here. By 2025, the pattern expanded beyond corporate finance. CISA issued guidance specifically on deepfake video impersonation after senators and board members were impersonated on calls with their counterparts. The common thread in every case was a call scheduled on short notice with an urgent action required that same day.
Nova here. What changed between 2022 and 2026 is the cost and skill required to run this attack. The tools that produced the Arup call at a research or organized crime level in 2024 are now available as consumer applications. That means the same attack is no longer limited to sophisticated criminal organizations with technical staff.
Understanding what happened in that Arup meeting room starts with how real-time deepfake video works. A face swap overlay takes the attacker's live camera feed and replaces the face in real time using a model trained on the target. What the victim sees is a convincing approximation of someone they know, animated by the attacker's own movements.
Good framing, Liam. The source material for the face model is whatever public video of the target already exists online. For a corporate executive, that often means earnings call footage or conference keynote recordings. Researchers find that a few minutes of clear frontal video is enough to build a working real-time face swap model.
The voice clone runs in parallel with the video feed. The attacker speaks into a microphone, and the synthesis layer converts their voice to the target's voice in near real time. The same public audio samples that feed the face model, such as earnings calls and recorded presentations, provide the voice data. Both channels are running simultaneously during the call.
The 5 sounds of the tax in the axis in Amisis Terial is how little source material is needed. A few minutes of public video is enough to build both the face and voice models. Most executives have that much video available through company websites and recorded conference appearances. The attack does not require hacking any system to obtain it.
The call reaches the victim through a platform they already use and trust. In the Arup case, it was a Microsoft Teams link sent via a spoofed email. The invite looks like any other meeting request. The victim joins a call they believe was scheduled by someone in their organization and sees faces they recognize immediately.
The detection techniques that still work against most live deepfakes are simple and physical. The first is the side profile test. Ask the person on the call to turn their head sideways slowly. Most real-time face swap systems are trained on frontal views, and oblique angles produce visible artifacts that a real face never shows.
Good starting point, Chen. The second test is hand occlusion. Ask the person to place their hand in front of their face momentarily. Most live deepfake pipelines struggle with objects that partially cover the face because the model has no trained response to the occluded state.
The dual-channel rule is the organizational policy that actually stops the money from moving. It means never approve a wire transfer by the same channel that requested it. If the authorization came through a video call, confirmation must come through the executive's known direct phone number that you call yourself, not a number provided in the meeting invitation.
The single most reliable signal in all of these cases is urgency. Every major deepfake wire fraud involved a call scheduled at the last minute, with an action required before a deadline that same day. As Chen noted with the side profile test, the physical checks are your first layer. The urgency pattern is your last warning before money moves.
A verbal challenge is the third layer. Nova, the urgency pattern you described is what should trigger this check. Ask something only the real person would know from shared context, a project detail or a specific internal term. The attacker has the face and the voice, but not the institutional memory. The hesitation when you ask is the tell.
If you or someone in your organization was on a call that matches this description, the first move is to freeze any pending transfers before they clear. Wire transfers have a recall window measured in hours, and the bank's wire department needs to hear from you before the receiving institution releases the funds. Contact your bank directly through a number you already have, not any number provided in the call. If the wire has already left the originating bank, your bank's fraud team can still file an international wire recall request through the receiving institution, which sometimes succeeds in the first 24 hours.
File with the FBI's Internet Crime Complaint Center at ice3.gov. Include everything you have, the original meeting invitation, and the email that delivered it. Also include wire confirmation numbers and any notes from the call. The FBI's Financial Crimes Unit works with banks on wire fraud intercept, and time is the controlling variable in any recovery attempt.
For organizations building prevention rather than responding to a loss, CISA publishes a deepfakes guidance page at certifiedinformationsystemsauditor.gov/deepfakes. It includes policy templates for dual approval wire procedures and a checklist for video call verification. Good addition, Liam. The CISA guidance is specifically designed for non-technical staff, not just security teams.
Grace. The controls that would have stopped the Arup transfer are not technical. A dual approval policy requires a second authorization from someone not on the original call. A callback policy requires voice confirmation through a pre-registered direct number. A same-day hold on large outgoing wires gives compliance time to verify.
The AARP Fraud Watch helpline at 1-877-908-3360 is free and available to anyone who experienced fraud on a video call. No membership required. If you forget everything else in this video, remember, a same-day urgent wire request over a video call is the pattern behind every major deepfake fraud of the last 2 years. Drop in the comments, does your organization have a callback policy for wire approvals?
Today we covered the deepfake video call from the Arup case to the detection tricks that work in 2026. Live face swap and voice clone tools are consumer accessible, which means the attack is no longer limited to sophisticated actors. The side profile test, the hand occlusion test, and the verbal challenge are 3 physical checks that still defeat most live deepfakes. The dual channel rule and same-day hold policies stop the wire even when the detection fails.
3 years from now, if you are ever on a video call where someone is pressing for an urgent wire, the 2 seconds it takes to ask them to turn their head sideways will be the most valuable 2 seconds you have ever spent.
The next video in this series covers the one scam that specifically targets people who have already been victimized, and the single rule that separates a real recovery resource from the criminals selling false hope.
Subscribe to AI Scams Exposed so you do not miss the next episode. Each video in this series covers a different scam pattern, the specific red flags to watch for, and a practical response you can apply immediately.
See you next time.
I am Professor Erica, signing off. Build the callback policy before the call comes, not after.